Alright.
As for the most impressive goal, this goes without question. To this day, this is
Called
still the
air
craziest
dribble off
goal
wall
I've ever seen.
practice, and I just hit a nasty. I almost hit a
Already
nasty
one of the
one.
best
Like
RLCS
it was
goals ever, but given
so
this was in the
close.
grand finals of the entire season at 0 seconds, this just deserves the spot. For RLCS 8, actually less than half of our coaches said that they were watching SSL games play at all. It's kind of crazy to think that Season 8 was the last time we had a LAN championship for RLCS. And since the players have clearly been getting so much better, it'll definitely make for an interesting tourney when we do have these LAN events again. The average rank guess for the coaches was actually GC3, and there's actually quite a few in contention for the most impressive goal. There were a few iconic ones from Justin in the grand finals, but one in particular is the most insane to me.
Not stopped with any of the pressure. Justin up to this quickly in front. Oh no! Back and Justin will score with 9 seconds remaining. NRG has the lead.
To me, RLCS 7 was probably the most uneventful season. Vitality ended up winning, and it wasn't really that close. For some reason, there wasn't too much to remember from this season other than the whole G2 versus Road rival. The average rank guess for this season kept its pattern, taking a step down to GC2. I find this really interesting because I'm currently GC2, and going into this, I thought that maybe I would have been able to compete in like Season 5 or earlier. Anyway, there weren't really many iconic goals from this season, but if I had to choose one crazy one, it would probably be this one from Alpha.
You feel like you picked up right where you left off in game number 1. Still, great pressure out of the midfield from the bricks, but execution from Barcelona. Alpha catches one of the
Now back to RLCS. It's interesting to see how things seemingly slowed down. What a lot of coaches noticed in these mid-season replays is that it was pretty solid with decision-making and coordination as a team. But the overall pace of the game wasn't really any faster than you'd see in a normal GC1 or GC2 lobby. And even with this coordination, still came some double commits and hesitations that you'd see there as well. The average guess from the coaches was GC2 once again. And if we look back at the highlights, this was really the season where flip resets were first starting to be used in RLCS. And I think this one in particular from Justin was probably the best. It may be as standard as you can get when it comes to flip resets, but at this time, this was revolutionary.
Yes, they are, Carpet. And today just continues to be one of those days. Justin finally, look at that, gets the flip reset off the ball and scores.
When you think of RLCS Season 5, pretty much everyone thinks of the classic Justin goal at 0 seconds to tie it up. Still to this day, the most iconic goal ever scored in Rocket League 5.
Oh.
There's people I know who never played Rocket League before, and even they know about that. But surprisingly, the average guess by the coaches when looking at the season.
Jesus, I guess y'all are in the gameplay video now. A game
That's why I switched to Devada. Devada was for some adults who are starting HIV-1 treatment or replacing their current HIV-1 regimen. Detect this.
No other
Gameplay was only GC1, which kind of makes sense now that you think about it. I mean, this shot really isn't that hard mechanically. There definitely were some other insane shots throughout the season, though, like this one from Devo. I don't think we've seen one exactly like this since it happened right there back in 2018. These highlights seem definitely much better than what you'd expect for a GC1. This was truly the age of insane offensive mechanics. But then you look at the overall pace and the defensive positioning, and you can see how clueless and uncoordinated they really are. After all, the reason NRG lost in the finals was because of a basic rotation mistake. Some of these crazy goals from the defenders' perspectives just make them look silly, to be honest. I think that's a big reason why these players were estimated to be GC1. But out of all these goals, I think this one takes the most.
Nice shot.
There's the mid-range
That was a crap shot.
now on the defensive.
Back in it.
Still 0 goal. Oh, goodness!
I don't think he meant that though. I got it.
Back during these seasons of the RLCS, there was only about 6 months between each RLCS championship. So there wasn't all that much room for improvement between the seasons. And because of that, I think that's why we see Season 4 also averaging out to be GC1. A lot of this gameplay looks pretty similar. At this point, the ceiling shot was considered by most players to be the most advanced mechanic you can do. Nowadays, you can even see some diamonds pulling off the presets, which wasn't even imaginable by pros at this time. This, of course, doesn't mean that these diamonds would have been better than the pros at this time, but it's interesting to see how that evolved so late. We even saw some interesting strategies break out this season, like the method strategy, where we have a lot going upfield half the game hoping for reruns. It actually worked for the most part, since they ended up finishing second in the world, but it also caused for some weird open net scenarios that should just never happen if you're one of the top teams in the world. But for this season, I think we all know what the craziest goal is. Another one of the most iconic in history.
This was the scoreline in Game 3. Wild 9. Taking a switching. He's been going for this stuff.
Getting close to the end here, we've got Season 3. Personally, this is where I first started watching the RLCS, and I remember thinking I'd never get nearly as good as these players. But what's weird is the coaches determined that these players would belong in Champions League if they played right now. In this season, it seemed like the biggest change in the scene was the emphasis on mind games. There were a few insane fakes pulled off this season, but someone who really paved the way for the future of RLCS was Devo, and I say that because of how good his double taps were. And that's also why I chose this goal as the best in the season.
Usually looks like on defense pocket right now. I'm not really sure who's going to go for the clears. Devo looks for the pressure.
Heading back to Season 2, you see a very similar theme to before. These players are making really smart and calculated decisions everywhere they go, but there are literally no advanced mechanics, and the game speed is so slow. The average answer for Season 2 was GC1. Wait, that's higher than Season 3. What's going on here? Hi guys, I'm just taking a break from editing the video. So there's actually a reason why Season 2 was different from all the other seasons. So specifically, one of the coaches that I sent the replays to actually decided to generalize all of his answers and basically say all of these replays are 2K plus MMR. I guess judging by how weird the gameplay was, he thought this was some sort of prank video, which I guess it kind of was for the coaches. But anyway, one of the 5 games that I showed him was Season 2, so that's why that was skewed up. But if you take that 2K plus MMR outlier out of there, then the average suddenly becomes Champion 3, which actually does line up with the rest of the distribution. So just wanted to clear that up. Back to the video. So the best play from this season would probably have to be this double tap from Remco. It's pretty impressive to be able to adapt to an unexpected bounce like this so quickly. But what I find funny about this is how the casters react like it's so insane. Which it was at the time, but today's casters would probably be laughing at how scuffed of a goal it was. Just watch.
Final minute of game number 6, and Devo puts it out into the middle. Remco's the first one there, gets us another. Oh, my goodness! Great play by Remco. What is that touch?
So finally, moving back into Season 1, we had a lot of mixed answers for this. Again, it's so hard to judge the rank of these matches because they're so different from normal ranked games. The players are really methodical, but they just play so slow and don't use any advanced mechanics. The average rank from everyone actually did come out to line up with everything else, though. It eventually totaled up to being Champion 2. If you're Champion 2 or higher right now, there's a good chance that your current skills would have been good enough to compete in RLCS. And of course, the best goal from this season, I think a lot of you can guess.
Defense coming out from this I-by-Power team.
Defense and I-by-Power, nothing you usually talk about at the same time. He's carried it. Turnover. They put it in. They stay alive. We go to game 5.
So, there's the timeline. Again, take this for what you will. I'm not going to pretend like this whole thing is completely indisputable, but I do think it gives us an interesting idea since the coaches had no clue they were watching RLCS matches when they were first judging the ranks. So that's about it. Thank you for watching as always. Don't forget to hit subscribe to help me win that race to 500,000 subscribers, and I'll see you guys next week.
What? Dollar fee earnings? Dollar check? Yes, I hate demos. What are you gonna do about it? Dude. Oh shit, please.